Hello everyone, my name is Mirabelle Omene. I am chef at Motherland Cooking Xperience. We take you on an exciting journey to Africa through experiences. This could be cooking experiences like the one we're about to experience, and they also can be house concerts. We also teach cultural competency workshops and trainings for your companies, for your groups, and for students. Today we're going to be cooking my favorite from Senegal and Gambia. It's called Yassa chicken, and just thinking about it makes me very happy. It's one of those simple dishes that you can whip up in no time, and the only ingredients you would need to have would be chicken, mustard, lots of onions, and lemon. The other things are frankly optional. Today we are going to be using chicken thighs because I like chicken thighs. They just keep the moisture a little better than drumsticks. You can also use drumsticks or other parts of chicken. Now, the first things we need to do are housekeeping stuff. So let's start with the basics. So we have a pot here. If you can see my fingers wiggle, that's exactly where we're going to be cooking our Yassa sauce. Over this way, we have an air fryer instead of a grill. So what would happen with the chicken is that it would be grilled over charcoal. And since I don't have that indoor here, I'm using an air fryer. That's also a healthier option. Yes? Yes to the air fryer. So we're gonna be using the air fryer, and we will be using our rice cooker as well to just make the process faster. Today we're pairing Yassa chicken with white boiled rice. We're going to add just a pinch of salt in there for taste, and that's it. So the very first thing I'm going to want to do is start with just showing you the ingredients that we have. So we have our rice, and this is basmati rice. I'm going to set it aside in the sink because I'm going to go and start washing it later on. We have mustard. We have some lemon. We have, of course, chopped onions. And this is not all you're going to have to use. I already went ahead and chopped a lot of onions, 2 whole onions, and I marinated my chicken. I let it sit overnight with some salt and some lemon and some white pepper. So this is it. And why I let it sit overnight is because the chicken just will absorb the spices a little more. If you wanted to do it 2 hours before time, that's still good. But if you want to go all the way out for those flavors to pop, I suggest you do that overnight. So I'm going to set my marinated chicken aside. We need, of course, some more white pepper, some black pepper. We need some salt, some garlic. So I crushed my garlic along with a little bit of ginger. You can skip the ginger if you want to. It's not a must, but I always like a little bit of ginger when I cook, so that's why I added some in there. We also have a little bit of curry, and this again is optional. The curry is optional, you must not use that. And then here we have a dry mix of garlic, of onion, some coriander pepper, a little bit of red chili flakes. And then we have our seasoning cubes. And it's fine if you don't want to use seasoning cubes like the Maggie brand or any other brand. You can use bouillon, powdered bouillon, that works perfectly. Or you can just use chicken stock. Or if you were doing beef yassa, you can use beef stock. And then we have Scotch bonnet pepper for the heat. You know, we like it hot. And I have some green spring onions just chopped for garnishing later on, and as well as some bay leaves. So that does it with all our ingredients. We're going to go ahead and start cooking. The very first thing we want to do is to start boiling our rice because the rice takes a longer time to get there. So I'm going to go ahead. I have 2 cups of rice right here. I'm going to wash it till it runs clean, until it's clear, and then I'll put it in my rice cooker. You know, the way we do this back home, the rice, I know here most people will use like a colander or something like that to drain off their rice or the starch from their rice by just letting water run over it. Back home we would put in water and just keep on spilling until the water is clear. And we normally would cook rice in a pot, not in a rice cooker. But rice cookers are really the bomb. It just saves time. And it makes sure you don't end up with burnt rice. I'll take that any day. So I think one more round and we're good to go. And the trick with boiling rice, making sure it's not too soggy, especially if you're using a rice cooker, if it's not too so it's not too soggy or undercooked, what you need to do is to make sure you have about an inch of water over the surface of your rice. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll just pour the water over and make sure it's a little more. We need only about an inch of water in there. That should do it. Yes. And we need some salt to taste. I'll put about a quarter of a teaspoon of salt in there. And that's it. We just turn it on and let it do its thing. Good. Our rice is good to go. Next up, we have our chicken, marinated chicken. So I'm just going to mix this thing up again. And then I pull out the chicken pieces. Just set them aside. Like I said, today we're using the air fryer. Normally, these chicken would be grilled over a charcoal grill, and it's just fascinating what that does. The charcoal, the smoke, at the same time, it just impacts really wonderful flavors to the chicken. So we're going to try to mimic that today with our air fryer. Just washing my hands before I touch any more stuff. You know what happens with chicken, right? When you touch chicken, you need to make sure you're washing your hands very, very often. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this on. Just let it sit. And the cool thing with the air fryer is you don't need any oil or anything. So I'll just go ahead and put my chicken on there and get it going. Imagine if you did this, like you prepared your chicken way ahead of time at night, and then you're coming back from work. This just makes everything so much easier. So our air fryer is already on and working. Our rice is already cooking as well. Now let's move over to the pot where we're gonna start taking care of the sauce. Now we're gonna learn more about what Yassa is all about. Let's just first of all go ahead and start doing the basics. We will need some oil for this, and I'm using olive oil. You can use vegetable oil, you can use sunflower seed oil, you can use grapeseed oil, you can use avocado oil. What you can't use would be things like coconut oils, like oils with really strong flavors. You don't want those because they're gonna start clashing with everything here. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my stove on and then pour in a little bit of olive oil. And I'm just pouring it just enough to cover the surface of the pot. I don't want to put in too much. And so depending on how much yassa you're cooking, if you're cooking a lot of yassa and you're using a wider pot, I would suggest you don't cover the surface because that might end up being too much oil. So go ahead with what you feel. Some people really don't like cooking with oil anyways. So I'll say, but you need a little bit of oil to caramelize the onions. Just don't put too much. And if you follow the recipe too, you should be able to really get this thing done the right way. The first thing we're gonna do is just let this heat up a little bit. We don't want it smoking. We want it just hot enough. And then we're gonna go in and add all of these onions that have sat there with the chicken all night. And we're gonna use this one as well, the extra that I chopped. While waiting for this to go on, I just want to talk about Yassa. Yassa, it just makes me so happy. This is the first time that I ate, the first time trying Yassa was the first time I ate something that tasted like this. Because in Cameroonian cuisine, we don't work with mustard that much. Traditionally, it's not part of our cuisine. And I would also imagine that it wasn't a part of the Senegalese or the Gambian cuisine until the French came. Because they were colonized by the French. Senegal was colonized by the French. Their culture has really, really influenced the Senegalese food culture as well. The very first time I tried this, I was just like, I don't know how this is gonna work. Mustard and lemon. I was like, oh, and onions, lots of onions. I was like, oh, I don't know how that's gonna work. But then I tried it and it was so good. And it's become a favorite for my kids and myself. We love Yassa. And this is telling me that my oil is almost ready. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'll just drain this excess liquid here. And this is not just any kind of liquid. It was lemon juice that I added in my chicken marinade. I'm gonna drain that out because we don't want any burns in the process. And I'm cranking up my heat, taking it all the way up to high. We want our onions to caramelize, not to sweat. We want a nice, good caramelization. And while I'm cooking, I'm just washing because I don't want to end up with a mess all over this place. Now, while we're doing this, I really just want to talk to the kind of chicken that we would use for Yassa. So, back home, most of African countries, we have families normally would rear their own chicken, and it would be organic. They would let them, it would be free range. They'll be roaming around, strolling around, running around the compound or around the house, feeding themselves with what birds eat, worms and stuff like that. But from time to time, they would also be fed some corn. And it just tastes different. It tastes really different. It is very, very flavorful. It is not as soft. You have to cook it for a little longer. That's the difference with chicken that's not organic. We normally call that kind of chicken poulet bicyclette, and that simply means the rider chicken. It's like, imagine a bike rider, someone who rides the bike all the time for sports. They have muscles, you know, and that's what you find in the chicken. That's why we call it that way. So the next time if you're trying to cook Yassa, definitely try with organic chicken. So we are just gonna keep on stirring this to make sure that it doesn't get burned, it doesn't get stuck at the bottom. And as we do this, I'm gonna just put in a little bit of salt to again release all of that excess water that we have in our onions. Just when our onions are about to start getting translucent, that will be the right time to start adding all the other little things we need to add in there. Beginning with our garlic. What I like about this too is the fact that you sort of like build flavors one after the other. You don't just throw in everything at the same time. Yes, so we definitely just want our onions getting translucent. We don't want them browning. We don't want them steaming. That's not what we're going for. We want them caramelizing. And halfway in here, I'm gonna go ahead and add my garlic. and the little ginger that I have in here. I'm not going to add all of it because this is a little bit too much, but if you look through the recipe, you should be able to find the exact combinations of the garlic, the amount of garlic that you need to add in. That smells so good already with the addition of the garlic and the ginger. I love it. So we're going to just continue stirring, making sure that nothing gets stuck or nothing starts burning. After about 2 minutes of frying our ginger that we just added, I'm going to go ahead and add in some white pepper. I'm going to put in a whole teaspoon of white pepper. So that principally means all of this. Ooh, that smells so good. We'll let that fry for 1 or 2 minutes. Again, now it's starting to stick. That's why I'm feverishly turning everything, mixing it up. A little bit of black pepper. I'll say half a teaspoon of that. Oh, it smells so good. With that in, I'm going to go ahead and add in a teaspoon of bouillon powder. And we just continue stirring, making sure that it's not sticking or burning. The next up, we need to add in our mustard. So I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons of mustard. There we go. There we go. Smells so good. And because I like a little bit of curry, this is not a must, it's optional. I'm gonna go ahead and add about half a teaspoon. That's it. Nothing too much, nothing too crazy. And I showed you this initial mix that I had. It was like a mix of dried onion, garlic, and all of that. I'm gonna add that now. Coriander seeds, add that as well in there. And then I'm just gonna stir for some more, maybe like 2 more minutes or so. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in and add my Scotch bonnet pepper or habanero, and then I'll add the bay leaves. So sometimes people use seasoning cubes like Maggie and all of that, but some of them that have MSG, you want to make sure that if you don't want that, you need to take it off. And so you can replace that with bouillon powders that don't have any of that. Or you can just do salt, because that is how everybody used to cook back in the day, and it will still get the job done. So with my bay leaves added, the next thing I'm going to do is add some water to this. And you could do chicken stock if you want to. You could do beef stock, vegetable stock if you want to, but I am going to be using water. That's about a cup and 1/4. Added all of that in here. And we're gonna use the water now to just deglaze the pot. Anything that was stuck there, we want to make sure we take them all off, else they're going to continue cooking and burning, and you don't want any bitterness in your food. And so we want to take our time and deglaze the pot very well. And if you like heat, you like it very spicy, it helps to not chop your habanero or Scotch bonnet peppers or chili peppers or ghost peppers if that's your level. Don't chop it yet, because if you open it and you release the capsaicin, the seeds in there, it's gonna be super spicy. And if you were sharing it with some other person, they will not be able to eat it. So I usually suggest that you drop in your pepper, whichever one you're using, just like this, and let it cook along. And somewhere before the end of the dish, before the dish gets completely cooked, you can take it out, and then you can release the seeds as necessary on your plate. That just helps. Or you can do like many African families, and you just create a pepper sauce that you eat by the side. So you just have it on the table, and whoever needs it more spicy can just take from there and add in their dish. But if you are a house of spicy eaters, just like mine, you can burst it. And make sure that you have some milk later on. If it gets too hot and someone's crying, you want to make sure you pass them the milk. So this is almost good to go, but our chicken is not yet quite there. We want to, the secret with this chicken is you want to brown your chicken. You don't want to cook it through all the way, because it's going to finish cooking in the pot. And so we see a nice brown color. I'm just going to flip this around. I want to try and get this, not this brown, but a little bit of brown on the other side. So I'm just going to repeat the same process. While this is simmering away, I need to reduce my flame. Take it all the way down. At this juncture, I want to go ahead and taste my sauce just to see if we need to add any more additional salt, or if any particular ingredient is missing or not as strong as we would like it to be. We're gonna go ahead and do that. And before I even do that, how do you taste in your culture? How did you grow up seeing your mom or whoever was cooking in your home? How did they taste their food? For us back home, especially Cameroon, how we do it is we will take the sauce and make sure that it's cool enough, and then you put it in your palm, and then you taste it. It's already tasting very good. That heat is already there, and I haven't even burst the habanero yet. It's just coming from the white pepper and the black pepper. I love it. Nice. So we're just gonna let that. I don't need to add any salt or anything else. It's good. I'm just waiting now on the chicken to brown a little bit on the other side. And while we're talking about this, let's talk about Yassa. Yassa is a way of cooking food. It's a method of cooking food, and that means cooking food with lemon, with mustard, and lots of onions. So you can have goat Yassa, you can have beef Yassa, you can have fish Yassa, you can have all vegetarian Yassa. It's just the way it's gonna be cooked. I have had Yassa fish, and oh my God, it's so delicious. I have had to cook this over and over with my kids, but also during cooking classes. And there's just really something about the lemon that gets to you. And if you're not a lover of lemon, if you don't like tartness, I would invite you to make this dish yours as much as possible. So don't don't follow the recipe, especially when it comes to how much lemon you have to put in. Put a little bit of the lemon at first, and then you taste it. If it's not enough, and then you can add some in small increments. That way, when you get to your own threshold, you keep it there and you can enjoy your meal. Sometimes we have people follow the recipes exactly the same, and especially those who are using vegetables and some of the lighter stuff, they won't carry that lemon as much as your meats would, and so it would tend to be on the more lemony side, and some people don't like that. So just make the dish yours as much as possible. So at this juncture, we haven't yet added our lemon yet. I'm gonna go ahead and add that, and like I said, I'm gonna taste as I go. I'm not much of a lemony person, so I'm gonna put just a little bit. That was about 1/4 of this container, and then I'm gonna taste it just to make sure that I haven't gone overboard. Yum. That's about right. I'm not gonna add anything else to it. Okay, looking at this tells me my chicken is good to go. It's brown and it's starting to get crispy on the other side, so I'm gonna turn this off completely. I won't be needing this anymore. And then I'll go ahead and just put my chicken in the pot. At this point, the chicken is not completely cooked through, and so you need to let it finish up in the pot. But the cool thing about this is it will be soaking all of those good flavors and juices that we've already created. So I'll place that in there. And because we never get rid of stuff that is still good, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this, the juice from air frying the chicken. We're gonna put all of that in the pot. So that takes care of that. You know, there's one really big rule in the African kitchen: never ever waste anything, ever. And this is what we just did. We used up all of the juices that came from air frying the chicken. Now, if you were grilling the chicken over charcoal grill, of course you will not be able to get any juices on the grill. But if once you take your chicken off the grill and you place it in a pan, I bet you there will be some juices coming out there, and those are the ones, that's the juice that you need to put back in the pot. So I'm gonna just let this sit in here and simmer on medium. From time to time, I'm gonna come in and scrape and just make sure that nothing is sticking to the pot, nothing is burning at the bottom. But it's already looking very nice. And this is my own touch to the yassa, because I like color. If you look in here, you see more of a creamy sauce, the whites or creamy onions that have been cooked down. The chicken has some brown on it. I need some kind of pop. I don't know. I need color. And how I do that, I add color to it, is by adding some bell peppers. So I'm gonna go there and put my red and orange bell peppers just to give it some color. I think that should be enough. And again, this is my own spin on it. Traditional yassa will not have bell peppers. But because I come from Cameroon and we do vegetables almost in everything, and because we love colors, I'm gonna add that in there. And I'm just gonna let this thing cook and simmer. Put this here. That gives me an idea. I'm gonna bring out some basil, fresh basil, Thai basil, to just color it some more. Let's wash this. I love Thai basil because its flavors are so strong. They remind me of the basil that we have back home. And frankly, organic basil, the flavors are stronger when they are organic, when they haven't been tampered with. I'm gonna grab me a knife And I'm just gonna throw that in there. I'll leave one last one, one nice last one for garnishing later on. But what this does, it makes everything just pop with color. Our rice is still cooking. Now that we have this going, cooking, simmering, we need to make sure we come from time to time and just make sure it's not burning by stirring just a little bit, but also making sure that we're not breaking our chicken apart. I love the colors. So I'm gonna cover this pot so we keep all that steam in so that the chicken can cook a little faster. In about 10 minutes, our yassa will be ready. I wonder if the rice will be ready at that time too. But I think so. We weren't boiling that much rice. Oh, another thing, let's talk about Senegal. Senegal is found in Western Africa, and it is called the gateway to Africa too, because a lot of the Europeans, when they came to Africa, they went through Senegal. Senegal is an amazing country. Lots of dishes, especially African dishes. The famous jollof rice originated from Senegal. Senegal and Gambia are the people who principally cook yassa. And just a fun fact, Gambia is actually found in Senegal. It's a country that's found in Senegal. The funniest thing is, before, there was a time when they decided to come together and become one country, and it didn't work out. They separated in no time. And it's like, no, thank you. We're just gonna be our own selves. But Senegalese people are just wonderful people. That's where you have the griots, the people who are poets and musicians for the kings and royalty, and it's a tradition that gets passed down from one generation, from one family to the other, one generation to the other. And it's just amazing what has come out of it. You have amazing musicians and poets from Senegal. There's Youssou N'Dour that comes to mind. His music is just amazing. And we also have Neti Manga, who is local right here in Grand Rapids. And he does an amazing job representing his culture, but also representing himself as an artist. Senegal is a football nation. Senegalese people love hospitality. Like it's the case with a lot of African countries. It's all about how you welcome people. Senegal is predominantly Muslim, and the biggest tribe speak Wolof. So that's another language that is spoken in Senegal, apart from French, from France, especially from their relationships with the colonial master, which is France in this case. Now, mustard is not a thing that gets used very often in African cuisines. I already mentioned that at the beginning, but because of the French influence, mustard found its way into this dish, and it's really delicious. Just want to show you what that looks like. Like I said, we need to continue just stirring, making sure that it's not sticking there and nothing is burning. I like yassa with an extra amount of sauce. And principally why we're doing this now is because we want our chicken to cook through. And I won't be able to taste this again until the chicken is fully cooked. You know what happens when you eat raw chicken? You could get poisoned. And so we want to make sure that this cooks through all the way. And this is why I like using chicken thighs, because no matter how you stir, unless you're doing a really rough job at stirring, it's hard for it to fall apart, you know. Whereas if you were cooking with drumsticks, for example, it's very easy for them to break apart in the pot. But also for the fact that thighs, they sort of like maintain their moisture, their juices a little better. This is a better option for this particular dish. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and check my chicken. And you know how I check my chicken? I'm gonna do it how we do it back home. A lot of the times people don't have thermometers to go and stick them in and all of that. So you have to pretty much try to see if your things are cooked through using your senses. You have to use your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, of course. And so I'm just gonna cut one of these open. And it was so soft. And that tells me my chicken is cooked through. You know, you don't want to see any red spots. In your chicken. Any bloody spots. If you see that, you know it's not cooked through. And don't try to taste it then, because you might just get yourself sick. Okay, I'm gonna do one last taste, and I'm doing this because I know, of course, that my chicken is cooked through. So good. It is so good. This tells me my food is pretty much good to go. Like I said, this is one of the simplest dishes you can ever make for yourself. And it helps to pre-prep. Cut your stuff before. Or even if you can go ahead and buy already chopped spices or ingredients like chopped onions, that could make your work easier. But if you're like me and you love doing that job, I just like to chop up stuff and keep. I'll chop them up and freeze them for use later on in case I don't have enough time to go ahead and cook. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a plate. We're gonna use this for plating. I need something else for my rice. And I can now smell the rice. It tells me that the rice is almost ready. That is what I want to hear. That's what I want to smell. I'm gonna give it some time. Nice. Move this here. And I'll move this one here. So yeah, our rice is pretty much cooked, good to go. And what I want to do next, I just want to put some in here. Let it sit in there just to maintain the form for a little longer. And during this time, I'm going to be preparing my garnish for our yassa. This looks amazing. Okay. There we go. And I tend to prefer to leave the bay leaves in there because I need that. I like to see the bay leaves on there. I need it for a little longer. It's gonna keep on just adding flavor to the dish. Put this one right here. And of course I need the sauce, the yummy sauce. See all that nice, tasty looking yeah, I think this about looks good. Let's not overdo it. So here we have our white rice and Yassa chicken. And like I said, you can always keep the pepper, the spice on top, or put it at the end so that you can add the spice as necessary. This is very important so that you don't make it too spicy and other people cannot eat it. So this is Yassa chicken made with love with lots of lemon and onions and mustard. It tastes really, really good. And I can't wait for you to try this. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is very easy to make. Anybody can make Yassa. And it takes a very, very short amount of time to get this completely done. And again, if you want the process to be faster, chop all of your ingredients later on, prep them, and keep your chicken in the fridge, marinated, of course, overnight. That just helps with the flavors. So, bon appetit! Hi everyone, my name is Myra Maimo. I am a singer, songwriter from Cameroon, based here in Michigan. I've been living here for about 9.5 years, and it's been fun just really getting to know everyone around here, how things work, but also just sharing my heritage that I bring with me all the way from Cameroon. My songs are normally more introspective, inspirational. I do sing gospel as well. My vision, my mission is to heal and motivate through words and song. And the very first song I have for you today is called Killing Me. The song says, not everything that is said to you that is bad is supposed to kill you. You know, we are supposed to just go in there, dissect it, get the things that can work, that we can work with, improve ourselves, because it always helps to get better. And you only get better when you get feedback. And so when you get that feedback, pick the things that you can do and work with them. And do not let the negativity kill you. So this song was written, it comes from my very first album called Answered Me. And let's go to it. Wombolombo, eh, wombolombo, eh, wombolombo, 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 eh, wombolombo, eh, wombolombo, wombolombo, wombolombo. Growing up a girl, I said they're killing me, yeah, but they were healing me. I didn't know. They criticized me. I said they minimized me, but they were maximizing me. Now I know. I had to change my points of view. God's a Lord I never knew. And I will start to understand. I couldn't break 'cause I would bend. Sure, it hurts when they say it. Then my shot, it didn't hit, yeah. Let me tell you something, friends. I would try to straighten my hands up. Growing up a girl, I said they're killing me, yeah. But they were healing me. I didn't know. They criticized me. I said they minimized me, but they were maximizing me. Now I know. They didn't always want my best. I didn't even know how much I'm blessed. So when the critics heard, yes, I thought I was deserved. Sometimes they mean it good, other times they mean it bad, yeah. It don't matter what they meant, I should use it to ascend, Growing up a girl, I said they're killing me, yeah. But they were healing me. I didn't know. They criticized me. I said they minimized me, but they were maximizing me. Now I know. Now I see they were maximizing me. They were maximizing me. Now I know. Yes, I see they were maximizing me. They were maximizing me. Now I know. I didn't know. La 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 la. I didn't know. Growing up a girl, I said they're killing me, but they were. I didn't know. They criticized me. I said they minimized me, but they were maximizing me. Now I know. Yeah. Growing up a girl, I said they're killing me, but they were healing me. I didn't know. They criticized me. I said they minimized me, but they were maximizing me. Now I know.